So, good morning. Second year Bcom computer applications and second year BA computer applications, third sem Rdbms. Second year Bcom computer applications and second year BA computer applications, third semester Rdbms, Dbms or Rdbms, Dbms architecture of the Dbms and other important concepts. Today we discuss all these things. So we begin with the architecture or working of a or the design of a Dbms ఇంజిన్. డిబిఎంఎస్ ఇంజిన్ అనేది మనకి ఎలా పనిచేస్తుంది అనేది, లేదా డిబిఎంఎస్ ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ అనేది ఎలా పనిచేస్తుంది అనేది ఒక్కసారి మనం చూద్దాము. సో వాట్ ఆర్ ద డిఫరెంట్ కాంపోనెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ డిబిఎంఎస్ ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ అండ్ హౌ ద కాంపోనెంట్స్ ఆర్ ఇంటర్కనెక్టెడ్ విత్ ఈచ్ అదర్ అది చెప్పుకున్నాము. సో database management softwares are complex softwares which were often developed and optimized over years from the view of user. However, most of them have a quite similar basic architecture. So here we are using three schema structure or three level structure, database model, schemas and interfaces. So external level or external schema, internal level or internal schema, and conceptual level. So this is the main diagram. This is the main diagram of a DBMS engine or a database. This is the main diagram of a DBMS architecture, లేదా DBMS engine, working of a DBMS engine, DBMS architecture. This is the structure of a DBMS engine or a DBMS. So there are three levels. First one is called as at the top application programs and end users are accessing the database. The top application programs and end users are trying to access the data or information from the database by using or by giving some commands or queries by using some SQL language. So SQL is a structured query language. It is an English like language generally used to access data or information from the database through database engine. So it is called as external schema. It is called as external schema. External schema means the structure. Schema means the structure, database structure. Means the applications and end users and application programs, end users or developers, application developers or database developers or DBS application programs written in various applications and programming languages are access the database from the external view. That is called as external schema or external level or external view of the database. So the next level is called as logical schema or conceptual schema. Logical schema or conceptual schema. So next one is conceptual schema or conceptual level. In the conceptual level we may define the working of a we may dealing with or define the problem definitions. What are the data sources, what are the various inputs. Means we are dealing with real world applications or real world scenarios or business problems like that. So in the conceptual schema we identify problem statements, various data sources, various data flows like that. And in nextly is logical schema. In the logical schema we convert the conceptual schema into some diagrams by using some tools like logical diagrams, ER diagrams, some tables, relational models. By using we are using various models and relational models like ER entity relationship model, relational models and other models and other tools, normalization techniques, all these things. So next comes in the internal schema or internal level. Next level is internal schema or internal level. In internal schema or internal level, the original database, the physical database or the records, the data or information is generally available in the form of records, fields, structures by using some SQL queries. And internal schema or internal level or internal database, level or internal view, these are also called as logical view, internal view or conceptual view. Internal view is directly connected to the physical storage media, and access the data or information in the form of blocks, records. So in the logical view, the conceptual level or a conceptual schema, problem definitions and various input outputs, what are inputs, outputs, and what are like that databases, their structures are designed. In the logical view or logical schema, we may define the working of the database or working of design of the database by using various tools and techniques and graphics like database tables, views, and graphics like data models, ER model, normalization techniques, and other techniques will come. And in the internal schema means the original or physical data or information is retrieved in the form of some records, fields, tables, databases, some relationships among some other things, and it is directly connected to the storage media or the physical storage media, which is where the data or information is stored. So this is the 3-level or 3-schema architecture, or 3-level or 3-view architecture of a database design or a database architecture. In this, applications and end users are trying to access the data. It is an external view, and comes logical view or logical schema. Next comes conceptual view and conceptual schema. Next comes logical view and logical schema. Then internal view or internal schema. So this is the architecture, basic architecture of a DBMS. So we may start with another PPT also. So this is another important structure. This is another important concept or diagram of database structures. Database structures are so this is inkoka diagram and architecture of a DBMS engine. So in the top level, native users means some end users, application programmers, business analysts, like sophisticated users, database administrators, DBAs, developers, వీళ్ళందరూ ఉంటారు. టాప్ లెవెల్లో మనకి ఈ లెవెల్లో ఉంటారు అనమాట. నెక్స్ట్ application interfaces, application programs, query tools, administration tools, ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి నెక్స్ట్ లెవెల్లో. అంటే అప్లికేషన్ ఇంటర్ఫేసెస్ మీన్స్ సమ్ ODBC కనెక్షన్స్ అన్నీ ఉంటాయి. అప్లికేషన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ అంటే డిఫరెంట్ లెవెల్స్ ఆఫ్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్స్, ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ లాంగ్వేజెస్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనకి నెక్స్ట్ లెవెల్లో ఉంటాయి. అలా క్వెరీ టూల్స్ అంటే క్వెరీ హౌ టు రన్నింగ్ క్వెరీస్, సిమిలర్లీ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ టూల్స్, ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి. So next comes query processor. Query processor. What is a query processor? Query processor is used to used to run and execute and run the queries. So by the end users or application programs అన్నమాట. జనరల్గా క్వెరీ ప్రాసెసర్లో డిఫరెంట్ పార్ట్స్ ఉంటాయి మనకి. కంపైలర్ అండ్ లింక్వర్, DML క్వెరీస్, DDL ఇంటర్ప్రిటరు, DML క్వెరీ ఎవాల్యుయేషన్ ఇంజిన్, అప్లికేషన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కోడ్, ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి. నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటి వస్తుందండి, నెక్స్ట్ లెవెల్లో మనకు వచ్చేది స్టోరేజ్ మేనేజర్. వాట్ ఈస్ స్టోరేజ్ మేనేజర్? స్టోరేజ్ మేనేజర్లో మనకి మళ్ళీ అగైన్ దేర్ ఆర్ అదర్ పార్ట్స్ లైక్ బఫర్ మేనేజర్, ఫైల్ మేనేజర్, ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ మేనేజర్ ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి. అట్ ద ఎండ్ లాస్ట్లో మనకి 0th లెవెల్లో డిస్క్ స్టోరేజ్ ఉంటుంది. డిస్క్ స్టోరేజ్లో మనకి ఫిజికల్ డేటా ఆర్ డేటాబేసెస్ ఆర్ డేటా ఫైల్స్, టేబుల్స్ అనేవి స్టోర్ అవుతాయి, డేటా డిక్షనరీస్ ఇవన్నీ కూడా. సో వీ విల్ డిస్కస్ ఆల్ దీస్ థింగ్స్ వన్ బై వన్ హియర్. So this is another PPT. This is another PPT of using Dbms and explaining about Dbms. So what are purposes of database engines, systems, data views, data models, data definition language, data manipulation language, transaction management, storage management, database administrator, database users, overall system structure. ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ చెప్పుకున్నాము. సో డేటాబేస్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ సిస్టమ్స్, వాట్ ఈస్ ద డేటాబేస్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ సిస్టమ్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా కలెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఇంటర్ రిలేటెడ్ డేటా, set of programs to access the data. Dbms contains information about a particular interface. Database applications like generally databases Dbms uses in all banking, airlines, universities, sales, manufacturing, like that. So next is what is the purpose of using database systems. So why we require, what are the features and applications. So database applications were built on top of file systems. What are the drawbacks of file based systems? Means data redundancy and data inconsistency, means multiple file formats, duplication and repetition of data or information in different files, difficulty in accessing data, need to write a new program to carry out each new task. Data isolation means multiple files and multiple formats. Integrity problems, integrity constraints, examples account balance is greater than 0 become part of program code. Hard to add new constraint or change existing. So these are the various features and applications and comparisons between traditional file system and ordinary file system, traditional file system and databases systems. So similarly, drawbacks of using ordinary file systems means atomicity of updates. Similarly, concurrent access by multiple users, means similar databases can be accessed by more than one user at a time, that is called as concurrency control. Security problems, database systems offer solutions to the above problems. So what are view, different levels of view or different levels of view or levels of database systems. That is an architecture of database system. So there are different views in the like logical view, physical view, conceptual view, like that. So view 1, view 2, view 3, vn. In the top level it is called as conceptual view, and in the next level it is called as level 2 is called as logical view, and last level is called as physical view. In conceptual view we may identify the problem definition of the database and application, and in the logical view by using various tools we may elaborate the design of the databases. In the physical view the original data or information is stored in the form of tables and records, fields, columns, and like that. So data models, so a collection of tools for describing the data relationships, data semantics, and data constraints. First one is entity relationship model, relational model, and object oriented model, like that. So first one is called as entity relationship model, as we already discussed about these models. So example of schema means, what is schema in the entity, what is schema means the structure, the working structure or logical diagram of a database is called as a schema. So schema entity relationship model, we are taking some symbols like entities and relationships. Entities means entities are used with some square symbols. Entities are generally used with some square symbols, and diamond symbols are used for relationship, creating relationships. So here it is an example: customer and account. Customer deposits account. Customer is an entity which is having some information like customer ID, customer name, customer street, city, address, and account have some account number and balance. And depositor is a relationship which is used to join the two entities, which is also having some entity characteristics or attributes. So entity relationship model, ER model of real world problem. It is mainly ER model is used for to solve business problems of real world problems, real world scenarios. So entity is nothing but it is an object. Entity is taken as an object or a real world anything object, anything in the from the real world object or real world scenario is called as entity. Examples: customers, accounts, bank, branches, like that. Relationships are established, or relationships are created among between various entities. Example: account relationship set deposit. Next one is widely used for database design. ER model is a popular and widely used for database design tool. Database design in ER model usually converted to design in the relational model, computing up next level. So ER model in the database design, first we draw the ER diagrams or ER model. After that it is converted into relational model for solving the real world problems. So relational model this is an example of a relational model, example of a tabular data in the relational model. అంటే రిలేషనల్ మోడల్లో మనకి డేటా అనేది టేబులర్ ఫార్మాట్లో లేదా టేబుల్ ఫార్మాట్లో మనం రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాం. ఈచ్ టేబుల్ హ్యావింగ్ సమ్ టేబుల్ నేమ్, some columns, and some data in that columns. It is called, this is the example of a customer relationship table. Customer relationship table having customer number, customer name, customer street, customer city, account number, like that. These are called as, the top row is called as attributes, and the data inside the relational model or a table is called as records. So record or a tuple or a record is called as a row of the relationship. So the relation model లో ఆ రిలేషన్ టేబుల్లో మనం ఒక రోని మనము రికార్డ్ లేదా టపుల్ అని అంటాము. అలాగే ఒక కాలమ్ని మనం ఫీల్డ్ లేదా మనకి కాలమ్ అని అంటాము. ఈచ్ కాలమ్ ఆర్ ఫీల్డ్ హ్యావ్ ఎ సిమిలర్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ డేటా. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ కస్టమర్ నేమ్ field having similar type of data, means all having some customer names only. Similarly, customer account number have similar data structure, similar data type or similar data format only. The collection of all the fields of a record, the collection of all the fields or columns of a particular person is called as a record. So every record is having a similar type of data or information. So this is the example of sample relational database example having 3 tables. The first table is called as the customer table, second one is the account table, and the third table is depositor table. So customer table ఏమేమి ఉంటాయంటే customer ID, customer name, customer street, customer city. The accounts table have account number and balance, and depositor table ఏమిటంటే customer ID and account number. సో ఇక్కడ మనకి ఒక రిలేషనల్ మోడల్ తీసుకుంటే, this is the example for the relational sample relational database. మనకి 3 tables తీసుకున్నాం: కస్టమర్ టేబుల్, అకౌంట్స్ టేబుల్ అండ్ డిపాజిటర్ టేబుల్. కస్టమర్ టేబుల్లో ఏమేమి తీసుకున్నామంటే కస్టమర్ ఐడి, కస్టమర్ నేమ్, కస్టమర్ స్ట్రీట్, కస్టమర్ సిటీ. అండ్ అకౌంట్ టేబుల్లో అకౌంట్ నెంబర్ అండ్ బ్యాలెన్స్. అండ్ డిపాజిటర్ టేబుల్లో మనం ఏమేమి తీసుకున్నామంటే కస్టమర్ ఐడి తీసుకున్నాము ఫ్రమ్ కస్టమర్ టేబుల్ అండ్ అకౌంట్ నెంబర్ ఫ్రమ్ అకౌంట్ టేబుల్. సో so another topic is called as DDL, SQL languages. What is SQL language and what are the definition, what are the different types of SQL language? So DDL మనం చెప్పుకున్నాము, యూనిట్ 3 అనేది SQL వస్తుంది. SQL లో మనకి డేటా డెఫినేషన్ లాంగ్వేజ్ DDL. సో స్పెసిఫికేషన్ నోటిఫికేషన్ ఫర్ డీలింగ్ విత్ డేటాబేస్ schema means a table. Schema is nothing but it is a table or a structure. Database schema means database structure or database table. DDL compiler generates a set of tables stored in a data dictionary. So database users. So there are many types of database users are available. Users are differentiated by the way they expect to implement. Application programmers, sophisticated users, specialized users, naive users, like that. Application programmers means interact with the system through DML calls. Sophisticated users means from requests in a database query language. Specialized users means write specialized database applications. So these are the DBA. Another user is called as a DBA, database administrator. So what is database? Who is database administrator? And database administrator is a person. Actually, database administrator is a person. It is also called as a DBA. Database administrator or a database DBA is a person who is responsible for all the overall creation of databases and maintenance of the databases. So DBA or database administrator coordinates all the activities of the database system. The database administrator has a good understanding of the enterprise's information resources and needs. And the database administrator's duties means roles. DBA roles and responsibilities includes schema definition. What is schema? Means structure, database structure or database table definition. Storage structures and access method definitions. Storage structures and access method definitions means which type of hardware, or one by one we explain. Why? Because it is a essay type question. So DBA, database administrator roles and responsibilities. What are the DBA, database administrator roles and responsibilities? So DBA coordinates all the activities of the database systems. The database administrator has a good understanding of the enterprise information resource and needs. Database administrator's duties include schema definition. What is schema definition? Means the structure of the database, the total architecture or structure of design of the database, tables, their relations, fields and their types and field types and their constraints, keys like primary key, secondary key, constraints, validation checks and everything. Second one is storage structure and access method definition. So storage structure means which type of hardware are used, which type of softwares are used, which Dbms is used, what are the front end back end applications, which type of networks are used, how the database is accessed, and which type of users, how many users are used, how many various types of users who are DBS, and what are the different permissions are used, like that. Storage structure and access method mechanism means how the database is physically stored and how to access the physical databases. And schema and physical organization modification means schema means structure. The structure of schema means the structure of database and physical organization modifications. And granting user authority to access the database means giving some rights, means giving some rights to the various users. Schema definition and physical organization modification. Specifying integrity constraints means various conditions, specifying various conditions or integrity constraints means validation checks, like applying various validation checks and conditional checks at the time of entry of the records, at the time of database entry only. And acting as liaison with users and user management means what are different types of creating various users and with their rights, grants, permissions, like that. monitoring performance and responding to changes in requirements. Means performance is another important issue of the DBA. Means he continuously performs the observes the performance of the databases and apply various changes to the databases and troubleshootings, attending various troubleshootings and backup and restore, take backup and restoring of databases, database corruptions, database securities, and changes. All these are the some responsibilities of the database administrator. So transaction management, another manager is called as transaction manager. So మనకి database structure లేదా architecture తీసుకుంటే various terms are used like transaction manager, storage manager, like that. So transaction, what is a transaction? A transaction is a collection of operations that performs a single logical function in a database application. Transaction management component ensures that the database remains in a consistent correct state, and concurrency control manager controls the interaction among the concurrent transactions. So transaction manager is the responsible, it is the one of the component of the database architecture. It is a part of the database architecture, and it is the responsible for completing all the transactions, database transactions in the databases or any Dbms. And storage management or storage manager. Storage manager is a program module that provides the interface between the low level data stored in the database and the application programs and queries submitted to the system. The storage manager is responsible to the following tasks: interaction with the file manager and efficient storing, retrieving, updating of the data. So storage management is storage manager is the responsible for storage management of the storage management means physical storage. So how the physically data or information or files are stored. It is a mediator between the low level data stored and the databases and application programs and queries submitted to the running of the queries and queries submitted to the system. The storage manager is responsible for the following tasks. It is also responsible for interacts with, it is continuously interacts with the file manager, and it is also used to efficient monitoring of storing, retrieving data and updation of data and information. File manager is another part of the database structure. File manager is responsible for file management. It is so another component of Dbms or Dbms engine or database engine or Dbms architecture is file manager. File manager is the responsible for all the file management operations like creation of files, database files, tables, and copying, renaming, deletion, insertion of records, files, deletion of updation of records, and searching, sorting of the records, indexing, and everything like in the Dbms engine. So this is the important overall structure. We already completed about the structure of the Dbms engine. So this is a compulsory setup question from first unit. Okay, thank you.